When developing an economic theory, the first thing to think about are the theoretical assumptions that are going to underpin your theory. Theoretical assumptions are important because where you start is going to influence where you end up. We have an economic term for this type of thing. It's called hysteresis, and that means that a system's evolution is dependent on its history. So what you go through is going to change where you can end up. All theories are based on some kind of assumptions. For example, in econometrics, when we're trying to identify the relationship between two variables, there's an underlying ceteris paribus assumption, which means holding all other variables constant. In order to identify that relationship, we have to assume all of the other relationships that might be influencing those two variables aren't going to change. Let's consider a common starting assumption for the social sciences. In general, you have to choose between methodological individualism and methodological holism. Methodological individualism means that the sum of individual choices creates the situation for the whole. So if you think of each individual in society as, one little nugget, the society as a whole is just the summation of each little nugget together. And individual choices will determine how those nuggets influence the whole. On the other hand, methodological holism kind of has the opposite approach. For methodological holism, the situation for the social whole acts as a constraint on individual choices. So, for example, individuals will not be able to choose certain things if the big picture of society prevents them from having those options. Different starting assumptions will usually lead to different conclusions. So if you assume that people are choosing, for example, what jobs they have, then you're going to have different types of policy recommendations for fighting unemployment. But if you assume that people who don't have jobs because their society hasn't made those jobs available to them, you're making an assumption that individual choices aren't going to influence the outcome. There's something structural about the society that prevents people from making certain choices.